Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with a dinosaur tutorial.
What species is this? It's
Saurus Scar-Veteran on Aggradon.
You bred raptors.
That is right. Games Workshop very kindly sent me all of the beautiful new Seraphim miniatures, and I thought it would be a very good idea to get my grubby paws into the Saurus Scar-Veteran on Aggradon. I'm a huge fan of Lizardmen, or Seraphim as they are now known as. Next week I have a huge 40k week plan where I'm going to try and bash through all of Indomitus in a single week, and I'm going to do a vlog series based on that. So what that means is I'm not going to have very much time for any other content except for 40k, so I thought for this Saturday I would focus on my Age of Sigmar fans and give you guys something really cool. So that's what I'm going to focus on today. Hope you guys enjoy it. Before I get into the video, I just want a huge thank you to all of my active patrons. Without you guys, I could not keep doing what I'm doing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you're interested in getting involved in my Patreon, there are links below. You get benefits such as a private Discord server where there's a bunch of different events and stuff that we do each month on the Discord. And you get an extra video every single week. So members of my Discord or members of my Patreon get an extra 52 videos a year. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, without further ado, let's get painting this model. And being a long-time collector of Lizardmen, this model blew me away. It is an absolutely stunning miniature. The squad of Aggradons is also unbelievably beautiful, and I cannot wait to get them painted as well. The model was assembled. I left his back banner and his shield off and glued them to separate little sticks and pegs just to paint them separately to make it a little bit easier. And then all the parts were sprayed black and then given a zenithal with Grey Seer, just with a rattle can, no airbrush or anything like that, which made them in the perfect starting place to begin applying contrast. So normally when I paint things, if you've been following along with my videos, I tend to do the base coats on everything all in one go and then shade everything. That's not the case with this one. I'm going to do the skin on the beast as the first thing, all the steps, all the stages, get that completed 100%. And then I'm going to work on all the gold and the Saurus and all on the back, because there's definitely going to be some messy dry brushing in on the dinosaur. And I think we would wreck the rest of the miniature if we try to do that in between everything else. So the first thing I did was I started with Flesh Tear's red contrast and painted the kind of bottom half of the model. I presume if you're anything like me, you'll have reference pictures of this model up on the screen so you can see exactly what I mean by the bottom half, and try and use this and follow along. Basically, he does have rougher scaled parts of his skin. Those are bits we did not hit with the red. Those are going to be saved for that really natural brown color that they showed in the box set, which I thought was really, really nice. So I'm going to take my time and apply that red everywhere I think it should be. This should be roughly in the right spots. And then from here we're going to go into the Garaghak sewers and we're going to apply that to all the higher parts of the dinosaur. I'm going to keep calling him a dinosaur because I like dinosaurs. I could say Aggradon the whole way through, but I prefer dinosaur. And as you can see, I'm just hitting all those rough scales. I'm not trying to get a really flush line between the red and the brown. That's why I'm doing that kind of stipply stabby motion where they connect. Because if you start adding these really swish straight lines, it's going to stop it looking really natural. That's not what we're trying to achieve here with a dinosaur. So like I said, take your time and apply this to basically the rest of the dinosaur itself, except for the inner mouth. I'll do something else with that later on. Okay, we should be at this stage now. Volupus Pink was used to paint the inside of the mouth. Cover up all of his teeth and everything with this. That's totally fine as the next step. It actually works better that the kind of gums around the teeth are pink. So if you do the pink stage now and then just pick out the teeth later on, it's easier. And I think it gives a nicer result. Okay, from here I think it's time to shade what we've got done so far. And for that I'm going to use Carroburg Crimson. But it's the new Carroburg Crimson. People have been getting confused with some of the shades. Remember, the shades have changed to a thinner consistency. If you're curious whether or not you have the thinner consistency shade or the older one, the newer pots are in 18 mil pots. Older ones are in 24 mil pots. If you have a 24 mil pot of shade, it's going to be quite thick and could do a lot more shading and coverage. Whereas if you have an 18 mil pot, it'll be a lot thinner and it'll show those other colors underneath a little bit better. For the purpose of my videos, I just use the new shades these days because obviously if I showed you guys how to paint something with an old paint that you can't get anymore, I don't think that's very fair on you guys. So always assume I'm using the newer version of the shades, which are quite thin. From here, we are left with this, and I already really like the way the skin tone is going. I'm quite pleased. Now it's time to move on to that stage that I said was going to be a little bit messy. So I've got a medium flat dry brush, and I'm going to dry brush all of the red skin parts on this miniature with Mephiston Red. I'm not trying to get maximum coverage or total opacity. I'm just trying to get some of the raised areas to catch a little bit of those highlights. It's going to be a super quick, but it's a very efficient technique for getting the model painted. Now, we are not done with the scales on top. Don't worry about those now. We're going to be adding the Garaghak sewer contrast back on top of those scales later on. But we want to basically do that kind of slap chop method and give them a kind of an extra layer of highlight first. And you'll see what I mean by that in a moment when we get to it. Pink horror was then used, but I mixed this in with the Mephiston Red that was already on the brush. I did not wash my brush out before I went into the pink horror, just to tell it I didn't want to go straight bright pink. And use this as another highlight across the skin, another dry brush. Catches the edges really nice. Adds a little bit more warmth to the skin, which I quite like. And for the last dry brush, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for Pallid Wych Flesh. Now this majority is supposed to be the last really light dry brush across the skin, but I am going to dry brush across the scales again anyway. Just like I said with that kind of slap chop method, this will add a really sharp white highlight across all the scales. And then when we go back in with the Garaghak sewer later on, there's going to be a lot more contrast on that piece. And then we can leave that there. So as you can see, I'm just going in one direction with the dry brush. It's not like all the other colors where I'm just slamming the paint back and forth. I'm taking my time, being very careful and precise. And you can see how it's already picking up the sharp details around the face, making it look like I put so much work in when really I did not. Now it looks kind of messy right now when it gets to this stage, but wait until I apply the Garaghak sewer back across the scales to neaten everything back up again, and then judge the red skin and let me know what you guys think of it, because I think it turned out really nice. I'm super pleased with it. And although it is quite a number of stages, none of those stages take a long time. Even on a squad of Aggradons, remember a squad of Aggradons is only 3 miniatures, so you could for sure do one paint sitting, getting the dinosaurs painted. It might take 2 hours. And then do another 2-hour session painting the guys on top. So 2 evenings worth, and you'd have a squad of Aggradons fully painted up, which I think is pretty good going. Okay, now you can really see how much the red skin tone pops as soon as I put that brown back on top of it. I really liked it. Now it's time to move on to the gold. So we use Retributor Armour Gold and applied that to every single gold part of the miniature. Now, just like when I painted Guilliman, there's a lot of gold in this miniature. It does take, I think it probably took me about half an hour of just staying calm, nice fine pointed brush, and painting gold on every single bit of trinket that I could find on this miniature. Remember that Lissamans share aesthetics with the Aztecs, so gold is very prevalent on every single miniature in the range. So you just got to get used to getting some nice gold done on the model. As you can see, once it's all applied, you can see quite how much there was. Now I'm going for an albino style Scar-Veteran miniature, which is the style at the time. And it's the way he's kind of supposed to be painted as an epic hero. So I'm not going to be touching his skin until after the shade stage. But I did grab Wildwood, and this is for all of the straps and ropes that hang some of the trinkets off the miniature. They also hold some of the armor panels onto the Scar-Veteran on top as well. It's just one quick coat of Wildwood on all those bits and pieces. It's a very quick step, but it does really work a treat. At some stage I did go back and cover up all the nails and claws on this miniature with the same color just to darken them down a bit. Yeah, I don't think I caught that on film, so if you do suddenly see all the nails covered with brown paint, I apologize. From here, we are going to go for Basilicanum Grey contrast, and that's for his chair. I almost accidentally painted his chair gold because I thought he was basically just sitting on a big, beautiful gold palanquin, but it's not. It's, of course, carved stone, which is another style that they like to follow. Now, while I'm painting up all these steps, I am painting the same steps on the shield and the back banner. So if there's golds that need painted, it's being painted gold. Silver, silver. Blue, blue, grey, grey. All those bits and pieces that are done. May not be showing you on camera, but I am doing them as I'm going along and painting these bits and pieces. Kroxigor Scale was then used for the feathers that hang off this model. Because he's a Scar-Vet, he won't share a lot of skin tones with the basic infantry of the army. Therefore, I thought if I add their skin tone into his feather detail, it would help him tie in just a little bit better. I think this worked out a treat and adds a really nice little bit of splash color to him. This is the back banner I was talking about. As you can see, those feathers and leaves are still hanging off the back of them. Same thing, Kroxigor Scales across the back. Okay, we're now ready to shade the miniature. For this, we're going to go to Seraphim Sepia. We are going to shade everything except the dinosaur. We're going to leave that red and brown dinosaur parts alone. Everything else is going to get a coat of sepia. That includes the Scar-Vet. We want to get that albino kind of deep skin tone that's white. We still need to shade it down or else it's going to look super flat. So sepia across all the body. Like I said, it's the new sepia, so it's really thin. This is going to work a treat for shading down all of the gold as well. All of the silver and any other parts of the model, including his stone chair that he's sitting on. Seraphim Sepia will do the job. While that was drying, I based up the miniature as well just to get that done. Everyone's going to base their miniatures differently, so I'm not going to show you how I did mine. Pallid Wych Flesh was then brought in, and this was one of the most precise parts of painting this miniature. I got a very fine brush, got some Pallid Wych Flesh on a wet palette, and I took my time and I layered up the Scar-Vet. Each scale, each rivet, each bump, curve, every single part of the model, I took my time and just got this stage right. As you can see, highlighting up the skin and the face. But this will be a super important part of the miniature, so you want to get this right. Like I said, I'll do a video on how to paint up the Aggradon cavalry at some stage, maybe. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, you just follow the Aggradon painting tutorial here and then the Saurus painting tutorial I did for the infantry and combine the two and you would have a squad of Aggradons painted up. So I don't know if that's really necessary. Okay, with the skin layered up, you can see that the model is starting to look really good. I'm super pleased with that layering job. The albino-ness of the dinosaur was the bit that I was the most worried about getting right. But I think I did do a pretty good job and I'm happy with the final result. Ironbreaker was then brought in as the highlight color for all of the gold and silver parts across the miniature. As you can see, I'm just catching those like hard edges and those sharp points across the model. Almost like a little dry brush, but not really, if you know what I mean. Don't actually dry brush, you'll hit everything around it, but I'm just trying to do a little bit of a highlight, nothing crazy. But hitting silver over the gold actually does a really good job. As you can see, the gold is popping really nicely on the miniature now. Mephiston Grey was used as a very quick highlight for the chair. It's such a bizarre detail. I know it's a big thing that he's sitting on, but it gets completely lost by a giant fighting war lizard being ridden around by a giant fighting war dinosaur. So I don't think you need to worry about that too much. From here, we're going to add a bit of pink horror and highlight up his mouth. So all the gums and tongues, bits and pieces like that in these miniatures, we're going to highlight with pink heart. That includes going in for the dinosaur mouth, getting the roof of his mouth as he is roaring quite loudly, and predominantly you can see all of the beautiful detail inside of his mouth. So don't forget to get all of those, plus his tongue. Back to the shield, we are going to use Ahriman Blue to highlight up all of those feathers. And I'm just going to use a little bit of kind of sharp feathering motion against the edges and pulling away to highlight up those. There's some highlight. There's some feathers on the shields and on the back banner and of course on the back of the dinosaur's tail. So get all of those done with the same color. In the home stretch now, really pleased with the result. Yriel Yellow was used as the first coat on all of the eyes. That includes the dinosaur's eyes and the Scar-Vet's eyes. As you can see, I have an extra small Artificer layer brush, really fine pointed like 00 brush, and I painted in those eyes. After that, I grabbed some basing material, some that I had lying around, just to give the base a little bit more waz, give it a bit more of a jungly feel, and that pretty much finishes off this paint job on the Scar-Vet on Aggradon, or Scar-Veteran on Aggradon. Absolutely love how he turned out. Super proud of this one, to be honest with you. Got some high-res kind of fun pictures of them now. I hope you like how they turned out. I certainly do. I think they look really cool. In his setting, riding to war. And I cannot wait to get the rest of the miniatures in this range painted up and on a tabletop. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous starting this miniature out. It definitely didn't seem like it was gonna be an easy one, but I think I managed to pull it all together. I'm very pleased with the miniature that came from the video. Hope you guys do like what I achieved. If you did, make sure you give the video a like. Ask me any questions you want in the comments below. I will get back to each and every one of you guys. And about 2/3 of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed, so it would mean the world to me if you took 2 seconds out every day and hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. I'll see you in the next video.